All right, morning everyone. Welcome to another episode of Market Trading. I'm your host, Tone Vays. We have a very interesting day. I'm not going to bore you with the details, other than I forgot to talk about yesterday's poll. Since I had Phil on, and he's obviously has a British accent. I'm not going to dox where he's living. He may or may not be living in the UK, and yeah, and he had an indicator called Moonraker, and I'm like, hey, did Dolly have braces in Moonraker? And we did a poll, and well, the majority of people haven't seen the movie because some of us are super old, and the answer is Dolly did not have braces. But there is one thing I remember for sure from my childhood is that she did have braces. So there was like 30% yes, like 10% no, and the rest didn't see it. Like 58% didn't see it. And in my brain, she absolutely had braces. And but in current reality, and I specify the word current reality, she does not have braces. Let's go to the charts. I would love to do a whole episode on this, but then we wouldn't be talking about trading charts. Ericsson, I remember that as well. There was Max Coin, there was Start Coin, there was Max was promoting Cork. But we forgive Max because Max eventually became a Bitcoin maximalist. Unlike Roger Ver. Roger Ver had like a 2-year window to admit that he was wrong and come back to Bitcoin, and he could have still been accepted. But now it's too late. All right, guys, we have a very, very important situation here. That is an MRI sell. And I'm not surprised by this at all. I've been telling you guys for 3 weeks. Anyone has been watching this, not through 3 weeks, 3 days. I've been telling you for 3 days since the last 2 run-ups. I was insanely concerned about the MRI top reversing the price of Bitcoin. Yes, we have a weekly MRI buy situation, but the weekly MRI buy ran right into a daily MRI sell. The problem with the weekly MRI buy is that it's running into major moving average resistance at the bottom of a channel. These are all very bad things. I anticipated us to go and make a new swing low. Yes, I did enter a 20% bullish position because the moving averages crossed over and we were rallying from under $25,000 all the way to $27,500. I'm not going to just sit on my hands and knees and wait for this thing to run away from me. So the 20% bullish position had to be entered because we never reached my buy the dip targets, but it was a very reluctant 20% bullish position. It will still be a 20% bullish position as long as the moving averages are crossed over. It's going to take at least 2 more candles to remove this 20% bullish position. And if we crash real quick down to 23,000, I'm going to leave the 20% bullish position, similar to what happened right here. Here, I also entered the 20% bullish position, and then we got rejected by the longer-term moving average. We moved down super quick, not giving me a chance to properly exit the 20% bullish position, in which case I was comfortable holding it until a better situation came around for me to double down on that position. Because this was happening at a critical low at the end of the bear market cycle. And as you can see by the historical bear market chart of the cycles of Bitcoin, when we fell into that $15,000 zone, that was historically projected to be a potential bottom in the price. The top, it usually tops way earlier. However, because the bull market started super, super late in its first cycle, the top came a lot later. So we started this a year late. So I'm not surprised that the top came about a year and a half later than that, than it should have. So if we, like, the Bitcoin price didn't really do anything until right here. This is where the Bitcoin price actually did something. This is where Bitcoin price first appeared, but this is where the Bitcoin price actually started to do anything. So we can take a look at how many candles passed during that time from the Genesis block over to an area where, you know, the price actually starts moving, and that's 383 bars. That's a full year, more than a year. That's a year and several months. And now I take this and I move it over from where the tops generally are. Remember, the green top is actually right here. The blue top is here. And the 68,000 top, well, those two of them, let's say the first one. So we'll split the middle. Normally the top comes in around here. That is how many bars? Well, let's do a full year, right? So this is the first year. And if I see where it is, that's in May of 21. So if I go to May 21, there we go. Right there. See, the top comes in right on schedule. It comes in about a year late because the price action started moving a year late. So everything's in line. And that's why I didn't mind holding that short 20% bullish position. It's probably going to be the same situation again. I really think the downside is very, very limited. I think our downside is over to 23,000, and I'm okay doubling down from those zones. The daily MRI. Now, is this going to be a 1 to 4 candle correction variety? Or is this going to be a full-blown MRI into my box? My box is still there. I just moved it over. The box was here, and now the box is here. Will we go full-blown into the box? Well, we don't know. We have to wait for a 1 to 4 candle correction to the downside and then reevaluate the situation. Clearly, either way, the MRI was incredibly useful. If you are watching this channel, we have 200 people watching right now. If you are watching this channel, you should have access to the MRI by now. I've made it as cheap as I can. It is $400 a lifetime, and it's such a useful indicator. If you watch this channel in order to get an idea of the price, you should have the MRI, and you shouldn't have to depend on me. You should be able to see the MRI signals on your own and realize that to be very, very careful right here, even though the weekly chart was somewhat bullish, but the upside was limited due to the moving averages, and they're about to cross over. We're going to back out. Well, the monthly chart doesn't really matter. Let's go to the day. Let's go to the 4-hour chart. The 4-hour chart, the CMF is crossing over. The RSI is heading towards a buy area, and the MACD looks terrible. Speaking of the RSI, sorry, speaking of the CMF, okay, I threw out a big warning flag on the CMF that when we were rallying on this candle here to a breakout high, the CMF was swinging red. That was my big concern, that this rally is a bit fake, and it's being proven right now. GBTC discount is struggling because the price is struggling. That is not surprising. Okay, we're coming up on oil. We have the numbers. I have not yet seen the numbers. So as usual, I'm going to put up a poll, and we're going to guess what, how much oil did the government sell or buy from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Natural gas is consolidating, and I'm anticipating a monster breakout in natural gas, just as it starts to get cold in Europe. And they're going to have an issue. There, you guys, if you're in Europe, you're going to have an issue. You're going to have an issue. Okay, let's look at the chart price of oil. Last week, what happened last week? Well, last week, candle, that's the September 11th candle, and the candle went up a lot. So did the government buy oil or sell oil? We're going to start a poll. Did Biden's handlers buy or sell oil into / from SPR, strategic, I'm going to spell it out, petroleum. I can't spell to save my life, by the way. Petroleum reserve SPR. Everyone knows what the SPR is now. So I'm going to say sold 100. You know what? How do we do this? Sold more than 500 million barrels. Doing the poll. I'm gonna have a bunch of answers here. Must contain between 1 and 35. Yeah, sure. Sold between 100 and 500 million barrels. By 1,000 barrels, not million barrels. The numbers are in. Right, so that is they sold 700. Right, 1,000 barrels, not million barrels. Did nothing, which is 100 to 100. Bought 100 to 500,000 barrels. And finally, oh, I can't do another one. Shit. Damn it. We're going to say sold between 1 and 5,000. Bought between 1 and 500,000. There we go. I can only have 4 choices. Or bought greater than, bought more than 500,000. Okay, here's the question. Here are the answers. I have to subtract 2. There we go. There's your poll. Let's see. Let's get, we got 200 people watching. Let's get 50 answers. What did the government do last week? Then I'll tell you what I think. Oh, people are, oh, yeah, people are learning. People are learning. I already see it from the first couple of answers. This is a tough one. This is a tough one. Remember, this is last week's candle, this green candle right here. This is what we're talking about. What did the government do? What did they do? We got 19 answers. I'm waiting for 50. $25, halfway there. We got 200 people watching, guys. I should also have like 50 likes or something, right? Look, 50 answers. 31 answers. I'll go and look at gold in the meantime. Well, gold has pulled back. We talked about it yesterday with Jerome Powell's. I didn't even watch the speech. It was totally irrelevant. Let's see how the poll's doing. We got 36 answers. 41, 9 more to go, and 2 more lights to go. 7 to go. 7 more people. And then we're going to go and get the answer. All right, so it looks like 1 to 500,000 barrels that the Biden administration bought. I really want to say that they bought more than 500,000 barrels, but I have a sneaky suspicion that it's going to be around 450,000 barrels that they bought. I'm thinking that the answer is going to be somewhere in the 450 range, just under, literally a smidge under 500,000 barrels. So I hate going with the majority. I almost want to say they bought over 500,000, just not to be with the majority, but I have a sneaky suspicion it's in the 400 to 450 range. Let's go and find out. Let's go find out what they did. We're going to refresh this page. 915. Oh, 351. Is that it? Is that the answer? I'm just going to refresh it just in case. 351. Damn, I was close. Good job. See? The poll was so off last time. I'm going to end the poll now. The poll was so off last time, and now it is very, very accurate. We're going to get that 915 number. Oh, wait, they didn't do anything. Shoot. That was 350. That's how much is in the reserve. They didn't even touch it. No, wait, they did touch it. 600,000. Sorry. 351 million. Yeah. 600. Oh, no, I was wrong. Yeah. My bad. It was 600,000 barrels. It was just over 500,000 barrels. Right? I knew I shouldn't have gone with the majority. The majority is always wrong. The majority is always wrong. That's just how polls work. The majority is just always. I mean, look, Biden got the most votes in presidential history, right? Like the majority is always wrong. They had 600. They added 600,000 barrels. So they are buying into the reserve. Added 600,000 more. I saw that 351 number and it was in thousands, but that's actually in millions. That's how much total they have. They added 600. Okay. Okay, so they're continuing the incredible strategy of selling low. This is 2023. This is when they sold oil, and this is where they're buying oil. So they're continuing the incredible strategy of selling low and buying high. But remember, they're buying in preparation to dump it on the market next year, because next year is an election year. They're buying it to dump it. They're not buying it to help Americans. They're not buying it to, create a more secure military for the United States. They're not buying it in case they have to give it away during a natural disaster or something. They're buying it for one and only one reason, to then dump it on the market right here during the election year. The last time there was an election year, which is a year and a half ago, the government during that election year of 2022, in 2022, here, since March of 22, all the way through the election and a few weeks after the election, they sold 193 million barrels. They are just buying it now, preparing to dump all of this next year. I will place a bet. I hate betting with people I don't know. But if it's someone that I know, someone watches me that I actually see in person on a regular basis, I will place a bet that everything that they buy from now until next year will double this amount will be sold next year. I will place this bet. Whatever the quantity of oil they buy this year, Times that by 2, and that's how much will be sold next year. I'm so confident that this is their strategy. All right, my moderator sent me something. Hey, Tone, is IXIC in a dead cat bounce hyperwave? Do you look at the monthly and compare it to the 2020 hyperwave? IXIC, what is IXIC? Binance coin. Oh, that's going to be ugly. IXIC. Oh, that's NASDAQ. Okay. Oh, wow. Look at that. Right. The NASDAQ is on a monthly MRI top. So does this look like 2000? It does not. Well, kind of does. It kind of does, but it's not. Wow, look at that. Look at the MRI. MRI called the top of the NASDAQ bubble. And top here and top here. That one wasn't great. Then we had a big run up into the third consecutive MRI top, a second consecutive MRI top with extension C, and now we're here. I don't see this as a catastrophic top. So I would only get concerned about the tech stocks if they cross this low. That's a 10,000 point low. Now we are looking at the full NASDAQ composite, not the NASDAQ 100. They're about the same. And I'm only expecting a correction to here at worst, and then new highs. That's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting these lows to hold and create a higher high. Now, if we break these lows, then the door opens. If we break these lows, then I'm wrong, right? But then I'm also wrong on this. I'm also wrong on this chart. Like, in order for this chart to be successful, the NASDAQ would need to hold the moving averages, these moving averages. I'm expecting it to hold. I think the percent probability that we crash below this line is like 5–10%. Like, it's super low. It's the same as Bitcoin going below 15,000. I don't understand why inflation matters when you're buying and selling oil, right? It's you're still selling the oil at the low and you're buying the oil at the top. Remember, the cause of inflation is not money printing. The cause of inflation in the last 3 years is the destruction of the supply chain and the lockdowns, which created additional money printing, which made things worse. Yeah, I was arguing with some crazy in a space where he said everything is the Fed's fault, and I'm like, almost nothing is the Fed's fault. Almost everything is the fault of all the lawyers that get voted into office. Like, the problem is the Treasury and Congress. The problem is not Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve. I will blame him for taking down a few private banks because he raised the rate too quickly. But raising the rate too quickly and taking down 3 banks is, in general, an irrelevant factor compared to what the government did to lock you down in 2020 and what their trade wars against Russia and China. It's not even comparable. The Fed's not at fault here. The Fed is not the cause of all your problems. It's usually the Treasury. And you have the most incompetent economist in global history, even worse than Keynes himself, Janet Yellen, currently in charge of the Treasury. Even Keynes realized on his deathbed that he was wrong and Adam Smith was right. But Janet Yellen will not have that realization. Big A, but cumulatively, it doesn't matter, right? Like the selling of oil, we're talking specifically about 2023. Okay, in 2023, right? The inflation earlier this year was not as bad, was almost the same as it is now. And yes, the government created a lower price at the pump, but now there's a higher price at the pump. So what does it matter if you got to pay less money then? I mean, yes, if you were starving and you did not have money to buy a sandwich and you would have died right here in June, you would have died if the price at the gas pump wasn't 20 cents less, and now you survive. I mean, unless you found a job and now you can prevent starvation, you're paying more at the pump, right? I mean, come on, let's be serious here. The current government is at odds with the Fed. James O, that your statement is 90% correct, that the Treasury and the federal government works with the Fed, because usually they are on the same page or they replace the Fed chair. But the current Fed chair doesn't give a shit what the current administration says, because he knows two things. One, he knows the head of the Treasury is the most incompetent economist in human history. He knows that. And he also knows that the president doesn't know what day it is. So the current Federal Reserve is, at the moment, a lone wolf of the federal government. S&P 500, well, the S&P 500 is also tanking, which isn't doing Bitcoin any favors. This is a bit concerning because now the S&P 500 is stuck in a double bottom, and actually it's stuck almost in a triple bottom, which is a big problem for traders like myself who hate double bottoms. We just discussed this with Phil. Now, that was on my show, where I don't like double bottoms. So this is a big problem. We are coming up on a daily MRI support line, which could be broken. We're bouncing off this line right now. See, this is a double bottom intraday, but clearly there was a higher close here. So this is a way bullish of a candle that reversed us, but I did not anticipate for us to go back and challenge these lows. We are challenging these lows. That's a concern. I am not going to be bullish in the S&P 500. We are also on a monthly MRI sell on the S&P 500, which is concerning. September is also historically a horrendous month for the stock market. And we even tweeted this out. Oh, wait, speaking of Twitter, let's go to the Financial Summit Twitter handle. Oh, yeah, I did a presentation for the Black Blockchain Summit, but I pre-recorded it, so you guys may want to check that out. See, there was a warning right here. Okay, shooting star candle, this is a daily Bitcoin, and the MRI was coming. I'm gonna probably try to tweet this out again today. I don't know if I hope I'll have time to make this chart, where the MRI top's coming in for Bitcoin right here. You guys should have seen it coming. I think it was the tweet before that. Might have been the tweet before that. Everyone should be following the Financial Summit handle, guys. Jesus, how long ago was that? There it is. Right here, September is historically the worst month for stocks. October is historically a good month for stocks and where stocks find the bottom. So it's perfectly within line to continue pulling back. But now, because of the double bottom in the stock market, I would rather see a new swing low come in around 4,200 on the S&P. That's what I would want to see. And then reverse from 4,200. So right here. That's where I would want to see it at this point. But we can talk about that later. Big A, we're not talking about 2022. We're talking about 2023. Okay? Let's not get shit confused. I am specifically talking about 2023. We're not talking about 2022. We're talking about 2023. Okay? In 2023, the Biden administration sold oil here and is buying oil here. We're not talking about 2022. 2022 was an election year. They were selling oil like the US government doesn't need oil. Yes, in 2022, they lowered the price at the pump significantly, but it wasn't because the Biden administration gives two shits about how much Americans are paying at the pump. It was all about lowering the price so that they get reelected in the midterm elections. If 2022 gas prices were 2023 gas prices, they would not have been selling the oil. I'm not sure why they were selling it here. I think it was just stupidity. I think they were just trying to collapse Russia because of the Ukrainian offensive that was taking place at this time. I think it was a bad strategic plan to try and hurt Russia by crashing the oil prices because the Ukraine was on its offensive. They tried to put all of their eggs in one basket, and they realized that the Ukrainian offensive wasn't going to take the Kremlin. And now they're making up for that because they need additional oil to sell next year, which is an election year. Well, no, they're clearly not trying to day trade oil for profit. You can see how terrible they are at it. All right, this might be it for me for today. The Financial Summit will be in the UAE November 5 to 10 and unconfiscatable back in Las Vegas, December 7 and 8. Thank you all for watching, guys. And I will see you all on the next one. MRI top, daily Bitcoin. We all saw it coming. Bye, guys. See you all on the next one. Oh, I'm off to Brazil. I'll see some of you in Brazil.